What's up, y'all? What's going on, Swade? How y'all doing today? Everybody good? You enjoying our Essence Festival of Culture Dirty 30? Yeah? Well, I'm glad to have y'all in the Swade Men's Experience. My name is Michael Barclay. I am the Executive Vice President of Experiential here at Essence Ventures. And it is my great pleasure with my incredible team to throw this party for the Essence brand and Essence Festival. Who went to the show last night? Did you win the Usher tickets? We got other surprises tonight, so you might win something if you come tonight. But anyway, I'm here today. We got a great discussion coming up about Black dads. The title is Black Dads, Strength, Love, and Legacy. And I'm gonna bring up some of my brothers, and we're gonna have a quick discussion about the importance of us in the family and what it means to be a Black father nowadays. So without further ado, I'm gonna start introducing these incredible fathers. First up, I got Ryan Burks. He is the president of Rycar Construction, the board member of Son of a Saint here in New Orleans, and a proud father of 3. Yes, sir. Up next, this is my brother. We go way, way back. Way, way, way back. My brother, I call him Derek, but you can call him D-Nice. Well known as a rapper, of course, but also America's favorite DJ. Saved us during the quarantine, issues with club quarantine during the pandemic. My man, my brother, D-Nice. And last but not least, we got Jesse Alex. He's the co-founder of a platform, not a podcast, a platform called Dear Fathers that reaches out to over 1 million people weekly and provides restoration and resources for Black families. These are the panelists. We're gonna talk about it. Let's go. So we're gonna get into it. First question for the entire panel, and we can start, I'm gonna go from left to right. Black fathers can be an example of strength and resilience to their children and for the Black community as a whole. What does fatherhood mean to you? I'm gonna start with you, Ryan.
Okay. Fatherhood, to me, is an opportunity and a responsibility for us to nurture and develop our children, establish hope and discipline and love, and also just building that foundation for our communities, because it's very vital for us to make sure that our children have solid foundation, but also that they're nurtured. You know, a lot of the issues for us is due to a lack of fatherhood.
Absolutely. D?
I mean, sometimes it's not just Black fathers, just parents in general. Like I grew up in the Bronx. I'm a New Yorker, and yes, BX all day.
BX.
And I didn't live in a household with my parents, so a lot of what I learned about fatherhood actually came from television. You know, like watching, The Cosby Show or, just these old TV shows. And I remember like when my daughter was born, I have a 27-year-old daughter, and she's actually one of my attorneys, and it's been the proudest moment of my life, like being her father, not about being her boss or employer, like none of that. It's like being her father and watching, the mistakes that I made when I was younger and being able to help guide her and seeing her just thrive in life gives me the absolute most enjoyment that I've ever experienced.
It's amazing. Shout out to Ashley, daughter, lawyer. Got to give it a shout.
Yeah, and for me, I agree with both of these guys, but like growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, I actually started my platform because I grew up without a dad. So, I wanted to create a safe space for Black men and Black fathers to share their stories because, as we all know on this stage, Black men don't really have a space to be vulnerable. So Dear Fathers is all about creating a safe space for guys to be vulnerable, and I think it's very important for fathers to be able to share their stories, but then also get the resources they need.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. And speaking of fathers, I want to give a shout out to my father, who's actually in the crowd.
Oh, wow, your dad's here.
My parents, my mom, and my dad. Yeah, definitely important. Both, again, being a father of 3 myself, but also having an amazing father who chose me He's not my birth father, but he chose to be my father. And so I learned a lot from him, and I really appreciate him. I'm so glad he's here today. Speaking of, I'm going to go to what you said, D, about the examples that you had. So how did you learn to be a father?
So I made, actually, I don't want to say it was a mistake. You know, when I became a parent, I was so angry with my own father that I tried to do everything that he didn't do. So I would kind of overcompensate because I was trying to, you know, I just wanted to be the type of father that I wanted. And then one day I realized, like, no, just be a great dad, you know. And I've been fortunate, you know, in my adult life to have been surrounded by men, black men in particular, who just kind of showed me the way. If I made a mistake or whatever it was, like my brothers were always there and they always had my back. So it was really about my community, you know, and how I learned to be a good dad.
Ryan?
You know, a lot of, for me, it was more of watching what my dad, grandfather, and other men in the community did. But I would also piggyback on what he just said. A lot of times you catalog things that you didn't personally experience,
Yeah.
and then you try to make sure that your children do not go through that same lack or that you experienced. But the biggest thing for me is that you really have to, there's no real true blueprint to being a father because human beings are all unique and different. So you have to really study those kids and try to adapt and adjust to each one individually. So it's challenging.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no blueprint, and you know, I always ask my friends, my family, my brothers, whenever they're expecting, like, are you ready? Like, are you ready to be a father? It's a trick question though, because the right answer is no.
No, you're never ready.
You're never ready. I've been a father now for 20 years. I get curveballs every week. It's something completely different. So you always gotta be on the swivel, right? So you're never ready, and you're always learning. And all the examples that you have with your family, again, the men in your life, and the things that you see. You talk about television. We did a panel last year, and we were talking about sometimes you Cliff Huxtable, sometimes you Furious Styles from from Boys in the Hood.
Right.
So you have to really take it all in, and it really takes all of that to be a good father. Jesse, you talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to go a little deeper on why you launched your platform.
Yeah, so again, I grew up without my pops, right? So like, as I got into my mid to late 20s, I was always like, kind of just think about who I wanted to be as a black man and black father, and I realized I never really saw what that looked like. And I have a passion for community building, creating safe spaces, but then also storytelling. So me and our other co-founder, who's a good friend of mine, over 20 plus years, we grew up together, we played basketball together, we went to college together. We're like, how can we create a safe space for men and fathers to be able to share their stories? So I always say that it was a platform that was birthed, turning my pain into my purpose. So I grew up without my dad, but at the same time, I created this safe space for black men and black fathers to be able to share their stories, but then also get resources. So at the foundation, I didn't have a father, right? I'm not a father yet. I strive to be, but this platform has helped so many men and fathers that, is truly a blessing.
And when did you start it?
We started the platform in September of 2019.
And I said 1 million. Is that accurate? Like, what's your number?
Yeah, well, social media-wise, we reach 5 million plus, but we just relaunched our podcast earlier this year with episodes with Shaq, Pusha T, just recently Master P, Young Jock, a few other guys. So things are going really well.
No, that's amazing. So in 5 years, you've reached over 5 million people, and that's incredible, bro. That's incredible, amazing. Shout out to you.
I actually just love that he's not even a dad yet.
Right.
And I really do love that you are building this platform and you're not even a dad yet, and you're just so concerned about making sure that, like when you do have your child, if if that's what you choose to do, that you have resources. So commend you, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So we talked about it a little bit, but as we just said, you're never really ready to be a father. You're always getting ready. But what would you want black men to know about fatherhood? I'll start with you, D.
Man, so I'm the father of 2 daughters. And I remember when my daughter was 5, she was 5 years old, we didn't really have the resources to send her to what we consider to be like a proper daycare. You know, we had to, this was after my rap days when I was trying to find myself again. Sent her like to this woman's house. She had a daycare at home. They called her Auntie. And one day I went to pick her up from Auntie's place, and the kids were watching Judge Joe Brown. I'm not making this up. I was livid. I was like, why are they watching this? Like, this doesn't make sense. And on our walk, I mean, I said a couple of things, you know, a few more things after that. But on our walk home, all she kept saying to me was, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. She was 5. Like, so to watch her on this journey to be her father, and instead of, you know, my job was to just kind of like help guide her with her dreams. She never wanted to be anything else but a lawyer. That was it. So to watch her go to Spelman, then she went to Penn State Law School, and one day we were at, you know, I DJ for the Obamas, and one day we were at the house, and she was talking to Michelle, and, you know, Michelle told her a story. She was like, hey, my daughter was about to take the bar, and she said, don't worry about it. I failed the bar the first time. If you fail, it's okay. And she was taking a New York bar, and then she passed it, you know, first time. And
That's
it was
tough.
just beautiful to just be like this dad who, my whole job was to just make sure that she found her way in life. And that is like, that's the biggest joy, like being the father, man. It's the biggest joy.
Ryan?
Well, you know, I'm the father of 3 children. I'm a daughter and 2 sons. One thing I want men to know is that there's not to be overburdened, because you're still growing and you're evolving, and so you have this dynamic thing that's happening because you're growing and your children are growing at the same time. You have your own dreams and they have theirs too, but you're constantly modeling and you have to always know that the children are watching what you're doing. And so really just setting the foundation of that discipline and that work ethic. The other thing is that I see it more as my children get older, is that each one has a part of your personality within them, and usually a part that you don't like, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's one of the challenging things that I've always had to try to deal with. Is so when I deal with my sons, primarily my sons, you know, we have this egotistical dynamic between us, but I love them all. But it's just, you see those things in them, like the headstrong part, and you're like, man, I've seen that before. And I think my parents have seen it as well.
Yep.
But that's one of the things that you just know is like, man, they're evolving. You got to let them grow, but still try to keep them in line.
No, definitely. Jesse, with the platform, have you seen anything or any information from any of the people that you just talked to or feature that you think should be included in this conversation about what black men should know about fatherhood?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I see, and it's a broad, kind of thing that I see, but is that we're not alone. Black men, black fathers, you're not alone. There's guys going through the same thing all over, right? And I think the biggest thing that we all need as men is community. So even I thank you all for just allowing me to be in this space, because each time I'm involved in these type of conversations, I learn something from each and every one of you. So like, I think the biggest thing we need as men, and obviously I'm not a father yet, but as fathers, what I see is community. So I appreciate this platform and this space to just be able to connect with you brothers and learn something.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I get that phone call of a nervous father-to-be, the main thing that I let them know is, 1, you don't have to be perfect to be a father.
Correct.
And 2, your life is not over as you know it. Because sometimes that's the first thought, like, oh man, I ain't gonna be able to play Madden no more. And I play Madden with my son. My son's in here. I used to play Madden with him on my lap, because I was like, I must keep playing Madden, and now me and him play against each other. And he's 20 years old, college student. So you can bring yourself to fatherhood. You don't have to change yourself to be a father. So I think that's one of the things that I make sure everybody knows, and through experience. But so we talk a little bit about some of the things we want folks to know, or brothers to know about being fathers. Are there any recent lessons? Because again, this thing evolves. So are there any recent new information that you've picked up about fatherhood that you want to talk about? Ryan?
Well, it never ends. It never ends. I mean, I just think it evolves. You go from adolescents, teenagers. All my kids have gone through college. So I've seen the growth. I've been blessed through our business. All three of my kids work for my company.
That's incredible.
So now I have a whole different kind of dynamic that is, we have a family dynamic, and then you actually have a professional relationship, which is extremely difficult to manage. But I'm working on that. But I mean, it's ever evolving, because now they're going through, my daughter just recently got married, and so she's transitioning in her life. And my sons are dating, trying to find their next step. And so you're just giving advice, so you constantly are constantly giving advice and leading your children.
D, I'm gonna just go in order. D.
Wow, what have I learned recently? I will say this: just before the school year ended, my daughter asked. I have a 12-year-old daughter, 27-year-old and a 12-year-old daughter. And my 12-year-old, she goes to private school in Los Angeles, and she asked me if I would attend her debate. I was like, all right, cool, and went to this debate, and I sat in the back of the classroom, and I watched these kids argue. Like, their argument was just great. Like, they were talking about fossil fuels, and I was sitting there looking at my kid, and like,
at 12?
when she got up to just speak her part, I started tearing up, because it's for me, it's like to watch your kids grow and to become their own person. And, her personality is totally different than my oldest daughter, and she was just brilliant. And I just felt like, wow, like, to be a parent, to be the type of parent that I am, and to be able to afford to send my kids to the proper school to get the proper education, because it's extremely important. Like, even with my oldest daughter, it was important to me that she went to Spelman. That's what I wanted. I wanted her to go to an HBCU, and it's important for me. Like, education is everything.
Shout out to HBCU.
Oh, that's what's up. But it's just great. It's important to me to make sure and ensure that my kids are, like, properly educated. And in that moment, I knew, like, no, allow her to be her own person. I'm not a dictator. I'm just there to help you, help guide you, and it's just beautiful to see, man.
Jess, anything?
Yeah, so I don't have anything to that, obviously, because I'm not a dad. But I will say this, though. Years ago, I was actually, like, just kind of hesitant or scared to have kids, because, I never saw what that looked like, right? Like, in terms of being a father. But since starting a platform, hearing the stories, having conversations like this right here, I'm actually looking forward to that moment. So again, I appreciate you brothers for just being the pillars that you are in the community, but also the men that you are as fathers, because it makes me excited about that moment.
Yeah, Ryan, you're absolutely right. It never ends. The stages change. I recently, I now have 2 adult children, and I keep saying I've been promoted from father to advisor. It's like, you don't have to do what I say, but I will give you some advice. So, all right, before we wrap up, because we're about to wrap this thing, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to talk about where people can get more information about you, your business, what you got coming up next. So I'm going to start on that end, starting with you.
Yeah, so you can follow me personally on Instagram at @MeJesseAlex, but then you can also follow Dear Fathers at Dear.Fathers on Instagram, and just search Dear Fathers on all platforms. Just stay tuned. You can go to our website, dearfathers.com, and join the community and stay updated on different events that we have coming up in different cities. We partner with different NBA and MLB teams to do this thing we call Dear Fathers Night, which is a pregame panel on fatherhood and mental health. And we got a lot of things going on. Again, the podcast. So check us out on YouTube. Our most recent episode was with Master P, and we have some great episodes coming up. So.
Nice. D?
I mean, I guess you can follow me on Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much. This summer, I'll just have a bunch of gigs coming up, and everything's always on IG. Yeah, I'd rather pass it on because yeah.
QC.
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
Who, me?
What do you have coming up next?
I get to go get on with the rest of my life after Essence Festival, because you know my life is Essence Fest and then everything after Essence Fest. So, yeah.
Actually, I'm going to go back. I am going to say something. I am involved in a couple of things. Sometimes I just don't talk about it because it's just my life and I love it. But
Yeah, speak on
I'm in different businesses, and that's another thing that I'm excited about. You know, I'm a partner in the cognac. We have a cognac that was named the best cognac of 2024. It's fantastic. It's called Martingale. I have I'm a partner in a plant-based snack company called Outstanding Foods, and we do have like my personal flavor coming out towards the end of this year. And you know, I'm just trying to always do things that I love. It's terrible, but I do have a cigar as well with Alvaro Davido. But
Why you trying to act like you ain't had nothing going on, man? Why you didn't want to say nothing?
Yeah, all that.
Brian, what you got going on? How can people learn more about you and your company?
You can follow us on social media. Right Cars Construction is the name of the company. Website is rightcars.com. Me, myself, I'm on, my Instagram handle is first class all day, every day.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I am here actually representing Son of a Saint.
Yes.
So I'd be remiss not to let everybody understand that Son of a Saint is a wonderful organization that I've had the opportunity to be chairman. I'm a board emeritus for the organization. And it ties in with this panel primarily because our whole mission is to support fatherless boys. The founder of the organization, Vivian Sonny Lee III, lost his father when he was 3 years old. And so we have 350 boys in our program, and we kind of put a whole bunch of mentoring and positive development for these young boys starting at the age of 10, and we monitor and work with them all over the age of 21. So sonofasaint.org, it's a great organization. Love for you to support and follow us.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate every single one of you brothers for what you're doing to put the positive information out there about Black fatherhood. You know, it's a lot of negative about us and that we're not there, but clearly we're here and we got a platform to show that as well. So I appreciate this conversation. It's been a pleasure. You know, it's close, near and dear to my heart. Shout out to my whole family and friends over there. Thank y'all for coming to Sibby. It's time to go to the Superdome and put on that white, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.